Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report, award-winning, at least I think so, Mailbag edition here. I answer the questions you guys asked during our live show, which airs every Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern, so make sure to tune in next week if you want to be on it. Now, the first question coming in from a legend here at the channel, Ryan Chowdhury. Do you believe Kevin was holding back plays against the Texans for us in Cincinnati and Baltimore? I completely do now. At first, during the game, it was just like, hey, what is going on here? But the second half, especially as the defense, Denzel Ward's touchdown, Tony Fields' touchdown, when Jerome Ford was in the game at one point, it was like, hey, they are just running Madden plays. They do not want to show the opposing teams any sort of tricks they have in their bag of what they want to do with Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb in the RPO game. Especially when it was clear, hey, Watson is still working himself back. There's no point in breaking out some of our more clever and creative plays just for him to probably throw an incomplete pass because he had 700 days of rust with him. So yes, I completely agree with that, Ryan. Brown Tiger next one up. Deshaun Watson is my QB. Fun to note, preseason game 1 of rookie season, Watson looked just as bad. New team, new playbook, learn game speed. After that, he looked way better. Not great, but better. We own Ohio. Yes. I mean, that's just what preseason is for. He was bad in the preseason game against the Jags. Went 1 for 5. 2 were drops. There was a fumble by Dearness Johnson on the second series. So I'm not all that concerned whatsoever about Deshaun Watson's underwhelming play in Houston. Gavin plays games. Should Harrison Bryant be a main part of the offense? My opinion, he's very underrated. Gavin, you and I would get along great because I have been a long proponent of, hey, if I ever see someone rocking a Harrison Bryant jersey, buying that guy a beer because Harrison Bryant, in my eyes, is underrated. He's a really good tight end, too. That's all he is right now. He might become more, but when Njoku's signing that big contract, that is not looking all that likely. But yes, I do think we're going to see, Deshaun Watson in Houston, for example, never had a fantasy caliber tight end, right? Just think about that for a moment. Just put it down to those terms. No one was like, you got to get the tight end in Houston. Now he's got 2 pretty good tight ends with Njoku and Bryant. I'm very excited to see how he elevates them. Down goes Pitt. I love it. F Pitt in the comments. What wide receivers could the Browns get in free agency next year to replace Anthony Schwartz? It's a good question. I do see the train of thought you're going with of, I kind of think Anthony Schwartz may have taken his last snap with the Browns, put him on IR, seemed like more of a stash than a legitimate 6-week injury, 5-week injury. What about Mecole Hardman? Because if the Browns are going to replace Anthony Schwartz, they're going to want to bring someone in who's done a similar role, but just better at it, right? A speed gadget receiver, because you don't have much speed, like top-level speed in Amari Cooper. But Mecole Hardman is going to be a free agent. Maybe Kansas City decides, hey, we want to see more of Sky Moore. We're going to let Hardman walk. Wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland picks up the phone and brings Hardman in for a visit. Joshua Miller next up on the show. If we only keep one of Delpit and Johnson, who do we keep? Grant Delpit. Couple reasons. One, Delpit's on his rookie contract. It's a lot cheaper. Johnson, you can save quite a bit of coin if you cut him this offseason. Also, Grant Delpit, more like future potential with him, right? You drafted him, so you kind of got that going for you. But also, he's younger, and most importantly, he had an awful first 6 weeks of the season or so. He has really turned it around the last couple of weeks. He had a great play in the Texans game. He is not so much a hazard on the field, and he has settled in, and he is starting to pick up his job and his role with the Browns. So I'm going to go with Grant Delpit. Good question, though. Now, if you have a question you want to ask and you're not able to join us during our live shows, just use hashtag Browns in the comments of this video, and I'll answer your question down below. Or, easy enough and much more entertaining, you can just tune in every Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 3 p.m. Central, and I guarantee we're going to have a good time together. Joshua Miller back-to-back. Where will OBJ end up? Not with us, thank God. He's not working out for anyone and won't be ready till the playoffs. If you're a GM, would you add him? I don't think he's playing at all this year. When he tore his ACL the first time, it was a 12-month recovery. If it's a 12-month recovery this time, that is putting him back on track for February. Another thing is, it's not like it's, 52 weeks from the second quarter of the Super Bowl. You don't get surgery at halftime, right? It's afterwards. So I don't see him coming back. There was some injury rumors leaked that his knee is not really all that ready. Wouldn't be shocked if a team signs him to a 2-year deal and just stashes him on IR for the rest of the year and kind of saves him for next season. But if I had to pick a team, I'll steal Patrick Seatman's answer. I'll go with the Buffalo Bills. I could kind of them see and just want to bring all the stars together and make a real playoff push if they even think it's possible to get them for the last game or two of the playoffs. Tim Michaels, what's up? Will we sign any new defensive tackles this year? I sure hope so. Taven Bryan was signed to a 1-year contract. You have Perrion Winfrey on his rookie deal. You have Jordan Elliott, who was drafted in 2020. So 2020, 21, 22. He's got one more year left. Same for Togiai. So I'm guessing if they don't swing for like a Daron Payne in free agency, they better use their second-round pick on defensive tackle. But my guess is hopeful Andrew Berry is going to be, praying that Perrion Winfrey starts to pick up his play and they can go out and get another better but cheaper Taven Bryan. After this year, I hope Andrew Berry learned his lesson of if you skimp out on the defensive tackles, it's going to make life miserable for the rest of your defense, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, our sportsbook partner, BetUS, is back, and they've got a great deal for you all today. Head on over to chatsports.com/bet. Enter promo code Browns125. When you do that, you'll get a 125% deposit bonus. No other sportsbook is giving you this awesome deal, so take advantage of it today. Chatsports.com/bet. Enter promo code Browns125. Cameron Stern, what chances do you think the Browns have of winning the next 5 games of the season? Well, let's kind of just run through. In fact, we can even let's throw on the playoff calculator, if you don't mind, Patrick. This week is probably going to be the toughest game. You're at Cincinnati. You are 6-point underdogs. Just from a Vegas standpoint, that's probably true. Now, this is the New York Times playoff calculator. If you win, if you lose, what your playoff chances are. So, if it's going to be Tyler Huntley for the Ravens in Week 15, and you get past the Bengals this week, who you have beaten 5 straight times with Kevin Stefanski, look at what's ahead of you. It is Huntley with the Ravens potentially, Week 16 horrible Saints team, a tough team with the Commanders, but not unbeatable, right? You're not going to Arrowhead or something like that. And then you wrap up the season at Pittsburgh. After this Bengals game, I think the Browns are going to be favored in every single game. So you're just asking them to do what's sort of expected. Now, in the NFL, it's a league of parity, so it's never quite that simple. But I think if the Browns get past the Bengals this week, wow, do they have a sneaky path straight ahead. No room for error, but it is there for the taking. Michael Warnecki predicting the Browns win this one 31-28, referring to the Bengals. Get your score predictions in down below. Who you got? Browns, Bengals this Sunday. Brown Tiger next up. Feel like Deshaun Watson gets a little better. 17-15 Browns. So I'll invite you guys to predict the score now. Who do you got? Browns, Bengals. Let me know in the comments section below who you think is going to win this game. I'm taking the Brownies by 8. How about like 31-23? How does that sound to you guys? Ryan, next up on the show. Chubb-Watson connection with RPO. Defense freezes for a second. Just let Watson warm up. Yes, I mean, Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb, when they get going, if they are truly unleashed by Kevin Stefanski, it's a nightmare for defenses. How do you game plan for stacking the box to stop Nick Chubb, but also protecting the pass from Deshaun Watson? There's no solution to it. Your answer is the offense has to outscore them. That is really what it comes down to. Kid Wilson, haven't seen you in the show for a while, Kid Wilson. Good to see you back. Does Baker starting tonight, so this will be dated, but this is referring to Thursday Night Football, hurt our chances of the Rams beating the Raiders? We need the Raiders to lose. Do we need the Raiders to lose? They don't have the head-to-head over the Browns. I'm going to predict the Raiders are just going to Raider themselves. But it will be interesting to see how this take ages. I think the Rams take care of business. Give me the better coach, Sean McVay. Vinny D, who is a dream Joe Woods replacement option? Ooh, dream. There's been some buzz about Jim Leonard, played for the Browns less than a decade ago. Did a great job with Wisconsin. I'm going dream, though, right? What about Brandon Staley, right? I know that might seem a bit outlandish, but hear me out for a moment. Brandon Staley is in his second year as the Chargers head coach. Right now, this present moment, he's 14-13 overall. He was the Rams DC in 2020, which I think for some reason people have this idea of Staley's an offensive guy. No, he's a defensive guy. He was the outside linebackers coach and defensive coach for the Bears before the Rams. And there are rumors of the Chargers having interest in bringing in Sean Payton, which then would free up Brandon Staley. And if you're Brandon Staley, listen to this for a moment. What better place to go than Cleveland that has a defense with Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Like, that is an awesome defense to look at and go, hey, this defense definitely underperformed. I know how to push the right buttons. That is a defense I would love to inherit. Instead of going to a team like the Texans, for example, that's young and inexperienced and is still very much rebuilding. If I'm Staley, I think the Browns' job has to be the most lucrative and appealing and appetizing job out there. Now, speaking of defense, we did this on a show a couple of weeks ago, and the responses were awesome. So name a random defensive player. Can't be offensive this time. Got to be a defensive player. Let me know who a random, it's got to be random. Can't just be mainstream. Can't do Myles Garrett. Pee Wee's Dog Pound next up. Do you think Hunt will start to excel with Watson? They seem to have a good connection already. I do. I really do, because when you get Watson and Hunt in shotgun together, that's going to free some defenses up. And you also saw Watson in Houston run probably like 80% of his plays out of shotgun, and that's where Kareem Hunt does a lot of his damage, right? He is not a back that does his best in between the guards right up behind the center. No, he does great things in open space, and in shotgun, you could access more of that. Last question coming in from Josh Miller. Do we need to blow up the front seven next year, other than JOK and Garrett? Kind of. I mean, I'm just going to throw out names for the front four next year. Garrett's a lock. That's about it. That's the only lock I can say. I think someone of Elliott, Togiai, and Winfrey will most likely get a starting job, probably not be worthy of it. Clowney's gone, and Taven Bryant's gone. At the linebacker spot, JOK, like you pointed out, Josh. Jacob Phillips is coming off IR, so who knows how healthy he'll be early on. Tony Fields, if he plays well, I could see him garnishing a starting linebacker spot. But other than that, yeah, I think you've got two surefire starters of that seven, and then two so-sos with Fields and like Elliott or Winfrey, maybe even Togiai, but no, not the case. Now, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. Give us a subscription if you have not already. It's completely free, and you'll get the best Browns YouTube content out there. Guarantee or your free money back.